Howdy folks, this is Father Dougal 9000 here, and welcome to another episode, but an interesting episode, of Game Finish Trios, that show where I talk about the games I've played and beaten as part of the Game Finish Challenge from the Hardcore Gaming 101 forum. Things took a bit of an unusual turn around the time I was playing these games, as I started getting into the Nintendo DS compilation titles for the Jake Hunter / Tante Saburo Jinguji series of adventure games. I ended up counting the games included in these compilations as separate titles to discuss, so a good chunk of this and the next several episodes is me talking about each of those games. It started as something to help me pass the time, an easy enough bunch of adventure games where you can't fail or get game overs, which I really needed at the time. But it's a series that gradually grew on me and eventually won me over as I played through more and more of them. Hopefully it'll make these upcoming videos more interesting in a specific way. Today's games were originally logged from the 24th to the 26th of April 2022. Radiohammer for the Nintendo 3DS. This is a rhythm action game I've stumbled across. It was originally made for mobile phones, but it later got ported to the 3DS. It was made by Arc System Works. A variety of weird monsters run at you on 2 lanes, and you hit them with your hammer, or large object of choice, in time to the music. The controls are quite simple, and you're even allowed to use the touchscreen, face buttons, and the D-pad all at the same time if it takes your fancy, whatever's comfortable for you. And I found myself comfortable with using up for the top lane and the B button for the bottom lane, with a brief press of left to grab presents that'll briefly appear and give you health or add to a special bar once you grabbed it. Said special bar will activate when it's full and register every hit with a perfect grade regardless of how well you timed it for a short while. It's quite an addictive little game with levels that only take a couple minutes, and there's different tasks to focus on if you want to get all 3 stars, such as hitting combos, getting a certain amount of grades for your hits, getting all the presents, and avoiding all the traps, which are sickly dark green presents as opposed to, I think, the purple presents. The footage will probably contradict whatever color it actually looks like. And, there's other challenges to do. I quite dug being able to pop in for a bit, hit out a few stages while listening to some pretty solid funk rock music, and then head off to do other things. There were even times that I got into kind of a zen state, hitting enemies to the beat without consciously registering that they were there despite the game's frantic pace. Overall, it's just a solid entry in the rhythm action genre I defo recommend checking out if you're into that kind of game. Oh boy, this one's got a long name. Jake Hunter Detective Story Memories of the Past Episode 1 The Petty Murder of a Fragile Heart for the Nintendo DS. Jake Hunter, or Tante Jinguji Saburo, is a series of adventure games about a hard-boiled detective with a hilariously large forehead solving crimes and mysteries that's been running since 1987. It's one of the grandfathers of the modern Japanese adventure game, and one that's had plenty of games in its wake. Particularly a series of titles developed for the mobile phone market spanning 25 cases. Nearly all of these were eventually ported to the DS and 3DS across 5 compilation games, which also included new stories exclusive to those compilations. A lot of it sounds really cool, but as far as the English-speaking thing is concerned, only the first and last of these got released outside of Japan, as Jake Hunter Detective Story Memories of the Past on the DS, and Jake Hunter Detective Story Ghost of the Dusk on the 3DS. Memories of the Past collects the first 5 mobile games, which is particularly notable as the first 4 of those are actually remakes of the original games made for the Famicom and Famicom Disk System. All the other mobile entries are original adventures made by WorkJam, who got the rights to the series off series creator Data East. This first case tells the story of a woman found strangled to death in a park, and Jake Hunter, private detective, prowls the city looking for answers. It's quite a simple game, focused mainly on talking to people and gathering information. Not having played the original Famicom Disk System version, I can't really speak to how much its qualities were retained for this take or if they're exclusive to this version, but I rather liked it. There's a casual but brisk pace in how you progress through the game, discovering what's going on as you listen to some chill jazz MIDI music. The moments at the end of chapters where Hunter recounts what happened and you have to pick the right answer reminded me a lot of Sing's adventure games like Another Code and Hotel Dusk. They also did this. I particularly dig how there's an option to smoke, in which Jake briefly monologues to himself while having a cigarette and tells you what to do or where to go next. It's a nice hint system that also plays into his character. It's particularly amusing when you try to smoke in hospital rooms and he thinks something to himself along the lines of, "I was just about to smoke and then I remembered where I was. It would probably be frowned upon." It's quite straightforward. It took only about, I'd say, an hour and a half to beat, though I assume the other cases will get longer and more complex because, it's only just the first game. You want to get people into the groove of how this works. Or maybe it won't, and it'll be a series of quick-fire murder mysteries. I'm pretty excited to see more either way. Jake Hunter Detective Story, Memories of the Past, Episode 2, Seaside City Conspiracy, for the Nintendo DS. This is the second game featured in the Memories of the Past compilation, and this one sees Jake and his assistant, Yulia, taken off to her old hometown of Depono to look for a missing woman named Ava Christina. However, things soon get complicated, and the scale of what seems like a simple enough missing persons case seems like it could be much bigger. This is a remake of the second Saburo Jinguji game on the Famicom, and I'm rather pleased at how much it chose not to repeat the structure of the first game. The nature of the mystery is different. The new setting of Depono adds a unique sense of character to the places you go and the people you meet, and having Yulia tag along lets her bring new solutions to problems with her experiences with the city and her ability to speak multiple languages. It's quite cool, and I'm starting to get pulled into this world and these people. I even laughed at a couple points. My favorite part of the game was getting asked random questions by an old man around the Chinatown district. That had me grinning a good bit. Heck, I even started thinking about the how and why of the mystery alongside the characters, and honestly, there are a few good signs that you're digging the mystery than that. And with that, we've wrapped up another episode of the series. I hope that you enjoyed watching, and that you'll tune in for the next video, if only to hear me talk more about Jake Hunter. If you're that specific enough into the series like I am. Probably not. Thank you so much, and until we meet again, have a wonderful day.